welcome to the Long Time Podcast, where we talk about anime, manga, light novels, and awkward silences when I don't know what to say after an intro. So, Matt, let me ask you, with our customary open question, is the super conservative nature of Japan a degradation on the liberal arts such as anime?
Wow. Like,
You
know
best get
what?
used to this, because I'm going to do this every single time.
But, oh my god, like, I guess in short, yeah, maybe? I don't know. I really don't know.
Hey, at least you answered it this time. The first one, it took us like 30 minutes through the podcast, and we finally came up with an answer.
Yeah, we came up with the fact that moe is terrorism.
Moe
Which,
is indeed terrorism.
Yeah, that is what we came up with.
Ignore my text box. This is completely unprofessional. So, let's talk about, Matt, let's talk about Dungeon. Because I just got done watching Dungeon, and I wasn't able to get to all the other stuff that I wanted to get to.
Okay. Wow, you were that angry.
I wasn't upset with Dungeon. There was just a couple of things I didn't like, but the rest of it, oh no, it's totally cool. Like, I'm getting similar vibes that I would off of, like, Sword Art Online or anything like that, but unlike Sword Art Online, I'm not upset. The plot and progression makes sense, and it's not jarring and just jumps around all over the place like Sword Art Online did. So I actually am enjoying Dungeon a lot. The only major things that I disliked about it is, one, the non-stop fan service. Holy shit. Every single episode has at least 20 scenes that are just nothing but fan service. Or they'll do a camera pan up a woman, or they'll just stick the camera right in between her skirt, and then that's the actual shot. Instead of doing like a side shot or showing off a little bit of this really beautiful background that the show has a lot of times, no, it's just in between a woman's legs. It's fucking ridiculous.
Okay, yeah. There when you say that now, I was originally kind of confused what you were talking about, but yeah, there's a couple of times that, in each episode where I'm like, okay, I'm not sure why we have this angle, or exactly why is the camera right here? Like, that doesn't really make any sense. Or like, this was a good space for the camera, and then you made the characters move a particular way, and I was kind of confused. Like, you didn't move the camera, you didn't want to make a angle change there, like. And yeah, I think I could overall agree with that.
No, yeah,
I don't know if it's like 20 scenes an episode, but
it was,
like
no, but it was a tad bit
angles.
ridiculous. Yeah,
there are some weird angles. I agree.
And then on top of that, they have the constant, like, they make constant jokes about Hestia's boobs bouncing. I mean, I understand it's like the hit of the season, so like it's kind of granted that shit's gonna be in there. But I'm tired of it. It's an overused trope. It's way overused, and people just need to get over it. In my opinion.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. If people enjoy the fan service, no, more power to you. But
well, the people, I think the rest of society would actually disagree, because as you probably have noticed already, Hestia is like the biggest thing on the internet right now in terms of anime.
It's surprising. I mean, watching the show, it's not surprising that's the way that it is. But it's just surprising whenever, like, this season first started, that, like, the first couple episodes went out and it just fucking hit. It was just like, bam, all of a sudden Dungeon everywhere. And Shiny Teeth and Me. It's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually still kind of puzzled myself, like, why exactly it is a huge hit. As much as it is, like even like SAO, I think, took a couple of episodes to get like off the ground, and like more so than some other things this season that should be really big. Like, for example, like even Nisekoi, which is like really big. Like, Dungeon hit it off even more than that.
I'd argue though that typically the genre that Dungeon belongs to though are the ones that do the best. I think it's definitely the ones that are like that fantasy element. They got a lot of action in the episodes, and then they have those like likable, typical trope kind of characters. Are the ones that do really well, and the ones that typically get really popular. I mean, that's the reason why Sword Art Online got popular. I mean, that's the reason why. I'm trying to think. Log Horizon got a little bit popular, didn't it? I mean, at least we have database off of
a little bit. Yeah,
Um,
data face. Wow.
Honestly, that's why you see a lot of shonen that have that as well, like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z usually have a lot of action in episodes and stuff like that. I think just action sells and a unique universe, and I definitely think Dungeon has a unique universe. It's like almost MMO, but it's not.
But it's not. It's
Like
not.
they
That's the
have
key.
hit points and stats, but at the same time,
It's
there's
not
like
an MMO universe,
it's not an
though.
MMO. No, it's just they
Nothing.
have tattoos on their back that have all this information on them.
Yeah, it's almost like they took a medieval setting. It's almost like an MMO, but there's no elements of that, like of a game being like played, or like it's not
Yeah.
like No Game No Life where they're like sucked into a game universe, or like Log Horizon or like Dot Hack or Sword Art Online where they're sucked into a game universe. There's none of that. It's completely just a fantasy world with stats, which is really weird. But it's
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
it is cool, and I like how they explain the reason. They don't actually outright state, but they explain within the environment the reason why they keep collecting these little shards that, like, whenever they kill a beast, it drops one, and then more
Hmm.
powerful beasts have one. It almost seems like the shards, and this is just a guess at this point, the shards are actually just powering the beasts. Because if you notice, after they kill them and they trade them in to get money, and that's how this whole thing goes in. It's kind of like in the old west, you trade in furs in order to get money.
Right.
But those shards, if you notice, are everywhere. Like in the lanterns, in the elevators, they're powering the elevators, and
Oh, I
like
didn't
oh,
actually notice that.
it's actually really cool because if you look at it, it's the same exact shard. It's just glowing a different color. Like the black is whenever it has no power, I guess. And this is speculation, but it seems like that's what they're pushing for, and they're not explaining it in the story. They just like shove it in your face. They're just like, bam, look, it's lighting up and it's powering the lamp.
Huh. I
Yeah, and
actually didn't even notice that.
it was kind of cool, and I noticed that was their form of electricity in this world is just these different shards. And because I was wondering, they kept on collecting these shards, and I was like, what good is the shard? Like, oh, is it for magical use or is it something like that? And it it might still be like it's the way that they break those down and mold them in order to make all their armor and weapons and shit like that. But I definitely noticed that it was their form of electricity, and I was like, that's pretty clever, actually.
Yeah, that's actually really cool, and I completely apparently zipped past that. I just thought they were collecting them for money, and
Yeah,
they needed
no,
them for something.
like
But
I said, I love this world that they've created. It's unique, it's interesting, and then on top of that, the plot actually has really nice pacing, is going places. Um,
hmm
there was one thing that I didn't like about the plot, and it was just one thing, and it was like between episodes 2 and 3, and it's not much of a spoiler. Is just she gets the knife, right? It's this big important knife,
right.
and then she doesn't give it to him. Halfway through episode 2, she has this knife, and she doesn't give it to him until halfway through episode 3. And
Okay.
it makes no sense because she worked her ass off to get this fucking thing, and like she's so excited. She was like, "Oh, I'm so happy! I'm gonna give it to Protag. I can't remember his name, and it's killing me." Bell. Yeah, I don't know why I
Yeah.
forgot that.
I don't know.
Hestia wants to give it to Bell, and they're super happy, and then she doesn't. She's just like, "Oh, let's just go do something else," and then like it gets to a point where he's like, "Go, I'll protect you," and then he runs away, and that actual scene lasted a really long time where they're just running away because he broke his old knife and he can't fight the monster, and it's like it's right
Oh
there.
yeah.
It's right fucking there around her neck the entire time, and she doesn't say a thing. For,
I didn't even think about
for
that, but yeah, that is
15 minutes, she doesn't say a thing. This was in between episodes, mind you. It was like 5 minutes in episode 2, and then like 10 to 15 minutes of episode 3.
right. And that's
She
when they're
does
running away
nothing.
from the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and she does nothing. She's just like, I need to get this to him eventually. I'll do it later. It's like, why would she forget about it as well? Is kind of what it seems like. Like she just completely
Well,
forgets
they
that
did
she
get
has a
separated
weapon.
for a little bit there, if you remember.
They did, but they spent a lot of time together before they got separated. Like a
Yeah.
good chunk of time, and all she said during that entire time, because I was noticing this, because I was angry, is she's just like, "Belle, wait, Belle, Belle," and that's all she says. And she doesn't even say, "I got you a weapon, I got you a knife, here's something, fight the monster." She's just like, "No, Belle,
Yeah.
Belle, where are you
Well,
going? Belle,
mean,
what are you doing?"
I mean, I guess you could argue like it's one of those things where like the girl's too nervous to give him the thing, so like she's waiting for the right time to give it to him, but then like the time struck, and then like
but
It's still kind of, it's almost plot device material, but like,
No, I think it definitely is, and that's what bothered me. Is that at first she's just so excited, and they obviously tell it. They don't specifically state it, but that's why she's like, "Hey, let's go do something, enjoy the day because I did something good." And I'm like, "That's fine," because she wanted to wait and surprise him with this awesome thing that she made. But then whenever they're running away, she doesn't say a word. She doesn't do anything, and they're running away for a while, and so that bothered me. When they finally got separated, at that point I was just mad. But at least while they were separated, she was like, "Shit, I gotta give him this knife," and so she's like running, trying to find him. So at least there was that. But that was my only major point, is that lasted way too long. It took 15 to 20 minutes between episode 2 and 3.
I think definitely that fleeing scene took a little while.
It's
and I guess what surprised me more than anything was that they somehow got to this other part of town where I guess everyone was already hiding, but it seemed, but in other parts of the town people weren't hiding, and then I guess they already somehow knew the monster was coming through, but so they were already all hidden because they come out there at the end.
Well, they did show that. Whenever he first enters, and I can't remember the name of the street, but they call it something street, and it's basically just this district of very poor people tightly packed together, like some of the rundown slums that you see in India and China, where it's just people living on top of people. And they do that. They have this kind of almost groundhog, or whatever Timon was from The Lion King. I can't remember what those are called. Meerkat. It's like an almost meerkat system, because the first couple people have their windows open and they're like, "Oh shit," because they just see this giant monkey, and they're like, and then they close the things, and you see it like a wave pass by of just people shutting their windows. Oh,
I must have missed that too. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that though. Is that these minor details are not being explicitly told to you; they're being shown to you. I did enjoy that. It was a little bit of a clever way of doing it, instead of the typical shonen thing of just "Oh no, oh we're so scared, and now we're gonna shut our window." It's they explain it to you, and I'm like, that's okay. You don't need to do that.
Yeah. Huh. That's. Apparently, what I'm taking away from this is that I need to pay more attention to the details in this show.
To be fair, weren't you comparing FFF to Tomodachi Yo as far as subtitles go?
Yeah, that's what I was doing during
that
time.
You were a little bit focused on something else, so it's completely understandable. But the reason why I didn't like the knife thing is because, one, it lasted way too long. It was dumb to begin with, and it's an overused trope. And I thought, I was thinking about this, is if you can replace that, because the reason why they wanted to do that, from what I can tell. And I know I'm going on and on about this, I'm sorry. And I'll try to wrap it up. But the reason why they want to do this is they wanted the main character to lose power, to be unable to fight, and then have to struggle with this, so that he can learn to be a better person and find his courage. Right. I understand that. I'm totally for that. But instead of doing something where it's just a mistake, almost a misunderstanding of just "Oh shit, I totally forgot to give him this knife," that's annoying. What you could do is you could do something where the monkey swats the knife away, because they already showed that several times of him being hit by this monkey, and that's why he's running away in the first place, is he couldn't beat it. So if he tries and then it swipes away because he's too scared, that in itself is a trope, but it's a better used trope and a little bit better written than, "Wait, I forgot to give this to you."
Yeah, and maybe that is a little bit better written. It probably is a better way. I'm not an expert screenwriter, but obviously.
Yeah, it's just they wanted they wanted to disempower him, and I feel like they did it in the wrong way. They could have done it in a much better written way.
Yeah.
You go first.
What do you think about the point that they were trying to convey with that whole running away scene, disregarding the whole knife thing? What did you think about the whole he's trying to protect basically her from this monster because of some background past thing that
I did actually like that. That is a big spider. I am sorry. That is a huge spider that's currently just staring me in the face. It just dropped down from the ceiling and now it's staring at me. It's like, what you gonna do, motherfucker? Oh gosh. I am sorry. I am distracted. Hang on.
Well.
Okay, we're good. Jeez, it scared the shit out of me.
All right.
My arachnophobia is getting to me. Back to
Really close
point.
to the screen.
Back to point. No, I did like that because like he lost his family. Basically, it's not much of a spoiler. He kind of says it several times in the episodes. He's just like, I don't want to lose somebody else. I don't want to lose somebody else. And like in the first episode, he's like, yeah, my grandfather died and it sucks. His family died, and it's horrible, and he doesn't want to lose the family that he has now. Which, by the way, I like how they use the term familia, or just family, because that's cool. Instead of, I'm in this group, I'm in this gang or guild or something like that, it seems a lot more personal of using the term familia, because that means that whatever goddess or god that they're with, they have a personal connection to. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's really cool as well.
But yeah, he truly considers it his family now because she really helped him out, and they're so close now, and they kind of have this brother-sister relationship. Kind of, it's a little weird, but I do like that he didn't want to lose his family, so he was like, "No, we gotta run away. I have to keep you safe." So he locks her behind some bars in like the sewers or something like that, so that the monkey can't get to them. That was cool. And then she finally reminds him at the end. It's like, no, remember we made a promise we'd stick together. And it's like that. I was happy with that. I just thought the plot device that they used was a little dumb. But the point that they were trying to make, totally cool. I was totally on board with that. And then, and I kind of agree. What did you think about it?
No, I liked it as well. That's what I was asking. What you thought about it?
Oh, okay.
Because I actually really like the plot device and how they used or not the plot. I don't really like how they used the plot device. That's anyway. Yeah. Moving on. I like how they explained that and like how they told that bit of the story.
Yeah, I really like that, and I like that with a lot of the other points that they're trying to make. Is like, it's like later on they meet up with the support character who's literally called support character.
Yeah.
But she's a supporter. But she, it's cool because she has this thing where she's trying to just get money, so she's like stealing and shit. I'm sorry, getting into spoilers. Although I guess we're a bit late to watch this, aren't we?
Yeah. Let's see. Episode 5 is already out, so it's been about 2 weeks at this point. Okay. So
maybe we should make a rule about that. Anyways, no, because she's trying to steal to get money. She tries stealing some things from Protag Bell, but then he opposes her by just showing her unrequited like just kindness and good charity, which she had never seen before because she's grown up in this terrible situation. And she even says, "You're weird," like because this is not her norm. But then she continues to hang around with this guy, and he just keeps on showing her more and more kindness, more and more generosity, and she starts to go, no, this is totally cool. And then in episode 5, they finally have this like big twist where it's like a misunderstanding that happens. Misunderstandings happen all the time in anime, but this one was actually pretty cool because she suddenly has doubt, and it's the first time she's kind of had doubt in their relationship, and she's never dealt with that well before. So I'm interested to see where episode 6 goes.
Okay. I haven't actually seen episode 5, so that was okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm spoiling things for you. Wow.
That's okay.
I'm gonna put the spoiler tag on this podcast. This is wow. I got off on the wrong start.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll just have to remember that later. It's all right. It's fine.
I did. You go first because I always interrupt you.
Oh no, I have nothing else to say right now. So.
Oh, okay. The last thing that I want to bring up with Dungeon, which is a wonderful idea from back whenever I studied literature in college, is do you know the old school idea of chivalry? Not the modern chivalry where they're like, if you're a guy, be sure to hold the door open for ladies and bullshit like that. That has nothing to do with the term chivalry, like in its actual original sense.
No, So I guess you could explain that.
The original term, and this may sound familiar, is like that whole idea of like the knight in armor and protecting the princess and different things like that. You know that part?
Yeah, I got
That
that
was,
part.
yeah, that was an actual thing. Knights would pick a fair maiden that was of noble class because they weren't noble; they were just under noble class. And they would pick a fair maiden, and basically she would be his. I can't think of the word. It's not supporter, but she's just like, I'm rooting for you, and like they would have this whole idea of love. And it was so weird because this in this chivalrous thing, it's like this knight would always be nice to her, and like always be kind and good natured. But they didn't actually have a romantic relationship. It was a fake romantic relationship because usually she's like the queen or something like that. So she's already married and she can't really have that. But they always have this idea of like the knight that's supporting her and like giving her things and being so poetically romantic. And that's where that romanticism comes from. That's where chivalry originally started from, and it's odd because this idea has perpetuated in fairy tales and different things like that, and it becomes a problem because what they do is what people do is like the knight will hold this woman in a high pedestal and just be like, she's perfect, she's beautiful, and she's a human being. She's not actually that. That's just their image in their head.
Right.
So what happens is whenever in a situation, like if you know the story of King Arthur, in a situation where you finally get the girl, or in a situation where it's no longer just this intangible thing, but you can actually date her or something like that, or talk to her, suddenly all of that changes. Because you're like, oh, this is a human being. They have imperfections. This is not who I thought you were. And that's typically like in long distance relationships. That's something that actually happens in modern days. Just like, you don't talk to them that often. You hold them on a high pedestal when you finally meet up with them and stay with them for like more than a day or two, but like an actual week or 2 weeks. Suddenly all that like romantic love just kind of diminishes. Typically. It's the same thing. And the reason why I bring this up and I'm on a long rant is because the same exact thing is the basis for this story. If you notice, Belle has this unrequited love for blonde chick. Eyes?
Yeah, eyes.
Eyes. And
Yeah.
she doesn't even know who the fuck he is, other than the fact that she saved him one time.
Right.
And he keeps on holding her to this high regard, and we don't even know a thing about her. And it's the same exact thing. It's the same romanticism that becomes a problem in modern day culture, and I don't know how they're going to address that. Because it's the same concept of like 80s and 90s movies of, I want to get the girl. And he literally says that at one point in like episode 1. He's like, now I have a goal. I'm going to get her. As if it's like an object kind of thing. Except for, I think he kind of spins it as, I'm going to win her favor. Which goes back to that same idea of chivalry. Winning her favor. Participating in knight tournaments in order to win her favor and impress her. And it's the same thing that's happening in this story, is that his whole reason for going on this big adventure and like his secret talent where he can level up faster than anybody else is all based on this romanticized love of this person he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
And I'm a little nervous about that, just because where I've studied literature and I know that it's not supposed to happen, it's not supposed to work, and it's kind of bad when it does because it perpetuates a terrible stereotype. I'm nervous where it's going to go.
I never really thought about it that way. Probably not many people do. But I mean, everything you said is pretty valid. I obviously don't know the author's true intent behind the story, but I don't know if that had something to do with it, or if this is just a really weird coincidence / trope that he just saw and just decided to write a story and subconsciously picked up while he was writing the story.
I think what it might be is that he picked up on this whole chivalry knight thing because he's kind of basing it in this medieval era, kind of. Although it's very MMO-ish and it's weird, but I kind of like it. It's kind of cool. Because it looks exactly like a world that you just like walk into World of Warcraft and there's the tavern and like here's all these people and it's cool, but it's set in a pure fantasy environment. But I am nervous about that trope because it's what the show's based on, and I was just thinking about that all the time that I was watching it today. And I hope that they actually do address it, because like you keep on seeing more and more notions of these two people getting like starting to know each other a little bit. They keep on having these small little moments, which are adorable, by the way. I do enjoy them.
Yeah, the moments are really interesting.
But they just haven't addressed it yet, and I'm not sure if they will, and I'm a little nervous about that. Although it does seem like they might, because they noted that his skill in the first episode, they note that his skill that allows him to level up quickly happens as long as his feelings remain unchanged. So they kind of set themselves up for this, where if he finally does get to know her and she seems different than what he suspects she is on this wonderful like idealistic pedestal, then his feelings change and he might not be able to level up as fast.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to do something with that, because they kind of hint at that and in the first couple episodes, because she keeps on saying, well, if his feelings change, then this will be a problem. So I'm just going to keep saying that I go for what he's wanting. Hestia does. She's like, I'll keep saying that I'm supporting him, but I'm actually a little jealous.
Oh, okay. I do remember that part now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see if they do address it, because they are setting themselves up for that. But yeah, that's end rant / end rant.
Okay, / end rant. Wow. Wow. I don't really know if that was a rant or not, but that definitely was a long wall of text. In voice form. So.
We call that a monologue.
Yeah, that was a monologue. Except you were kind of talking at me, not to me. But that's fine. Whatever.
I'm sorry.
I was just like, okay.
Sorry, I was thinking really in depth earlier today while I was watching this.
That was really in depth, and I actually don't have anything that can top that. Congratulations!
Yay! Podcast over. All right, thanks for coming.
I don't have anything to add to that. You pretty much covered everything that I was going to add to it. That's
nothing else that you wanted to talk about with Dungeon?
I mean, not really. Like,
how about this? What are your closing thoughts on it? Just like how you generally feel about it.
Oh, how do I generally feel about it? I mean, I like it. Like, I don't hate it. It's not really. I don't even think it's my favorite of the season. I mean, but it's not too bad, and I'll continue watching it. Like, I have fun while I'm watching it. So.
I know that you typically kind of stay away from the fantasy ones, or as long as they're like really high fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah, like normally, I guess that's the one thing that like I automatically don't like watch a lot of those fantasy shows, because I think there's some other there's another show this season that's airing that everyone keeps saying is really good, but I can't watch it because it's primarily fantasy based.
Which one is it?
I think, and now I might be wrong about this. I might be confusing because there's two very similar ones.
Totally Fate Stay Night, right? Like Unlimited Blade Works?
Well, okay. I think maybe like that. I could like go on for a little bit about Fate Stay Night and how I think that show is completely overhyped. But
whoa, them's fighting words.
I just fired like a bunch of shots, but like. I don't really think it's a great story, just from what I've read of it, and I played 8 hours of the visual novel. So
yeah, I mean I haven't watched it, so I can't say anything about it. I am excited to watch it though, because I've been hearing good things about it, so I'm excited to see what it actually is like. I know,
and maybe I just haven't seen enough of it to like get into it, but like it's definitely one of those shows that I'm always just like. Everyone keeps always saying it's good. Everyone always says it's good, but it's that fantasy setting which I do not particularly enjoy. It's kind of the same thing with Attack on Titan. It's just that setting I do not like, and it's just overhyped. Both of those shows have those same characteristics, and
it's any one of those things that's overhyped and is before the time of guns. Basically, is what you apparently don't like.
Yeah, and it's not even that I like storylines of guns better. It's just that. Like, I guess it really is just like I hear magic and swords and like
It's that sword and sorcery thing that kind of gets to you. You're not a big fan of like old school things that call back to like D&D.
Like, and you know what? I don't even like tabletop games. So we'll avoid that topic for now. But yeah, I just fired another load of shots. But like,
shots fired.
Yeah, everyone's gonna hate me by the time this is over. We're not gonna have an audience anymore.
Is the one that you were thinking of Arslan Senki? I'm looking at any chart right now. I'm trying to figure it out.
But I don't think that's the one that's actually overhyped. I think I was actually thinking of Kekai Sensen, and it looks a little bit more sci-fi, even though it's still tagged as fantasy. But
the one from Bones.
Yeah.
Breach between the Earth and the Netherworlds has opened up over the city of New York, trapping New Yorkers and creatures from other dimensions in a impenetrable bubble. Not to be like stereotypical, but imagine like New Yorkers just like see the gates of hell open up above them. They're like, hey, get out of here! And they're just like, fuck off. I don't know why I did the British one, but they're just like, fuck off. And then like they just get mad and they just turn around and keep eating their pizza. I don't know why, but that's the first thing that came to mind, and it's so fucking terribly stereotyped. I apologize for any New Yorkers.
Let's start marking off things that the audience that we just lost in the past 5 minutes. So we've lost all fantasy lovers. We've lost all people that love mainstream anime. We've lost the New Yorkers now.
I love the fact that, like, I wish people would actually do that. Like, Japan doesn't know too much about stereotypical American culture, and I wish that they would call back to that. Like, I was watching Hana Yamada because I'm trying to get caught up on that one. Mm-hmm. And she's from New Jersey, and I was like, oh, man. And it's so funny because the first time you see her, like, after that big dramatic moment at the beginning of Hana Yamada, she's running away from the cops. And I was like, oh gosh, like, is someone trying to be like, I'm from Jersey, I'm gonna fight you kind of thing? But no, it's just she's a little bit of a carefree individual because she's from America. I got a little nervous whenever I saw that because she's running away from the cops. She doesn't fit in with anywhere, and she doesn't give two shits about anyone's opinion. She just keeps doing what she's doing. And I was like, that kind of sounds like Jersey. If she starts pumping her own gas, I'm gonna get scared. Like, if she has someone else pump her own gas, I guess I should say. That is a weird thing about Jersey, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I wish people would fit stereotypes into that, because anytime in an anime you see somebody from America, they'll like pick a random city, and then they'll just say, oh yeah, and then they're just like typical American is what they are. And I wish they would fit like the different. Oh, thank you, Hitman Pro, for completely interrupting this podcast. But I wish they would fit in like someone from California is going to be a little bit more liberal on typically, and then like anybody that's from like the South would have a little bit of an accent and might have a hard time pronouncing certain things in Japanese, possibly, and then they might have a little bit of Southern hospitality. Like, it'd be cool to see that.
Right, but like at the same time, like that'd be really hard to do.
It'd be hard. It'd be complicated, and Japan doesn't care. They're making animation for their own company. It's just as an American, it'd be cool, but that's perfectly fine. I don't expect them to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. And and going back to the whole fantasy thing, like I don't even necessarily hate like fantasy like weaponry or like fantasy, like there's specific things of fantasy that I actually do like. Like I like magic as an element, like that's really cool. We both thought
Mahoka's use of magic was cool.
Yeah, I like some of the weaponry that they use. Like I don't have anything against bows and arrows or like for example, like the weapons that they've used in a Warrior no Seraph. I know you haven't seen that, but for example, they have a scythe user, they have a bow user, they have like a double-handed sword user. Like
they have it in their poster for a Warrior no Seraph.
They're using all that weaponry, but it's more super. I guess it's borderline like supernatural type of stuff. But like I like those types of fantasy elements I'm okay with. It's just I guess it really is just that medieval setting, and like when you have like peasants and like freaking royalty and like.
You're not a big fan of serfdom? Huh. Weird.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But yeah, there's there's a lot of elements like there's a good example of a fantasy that I actually disliked, but everyone else seems to love. It's Hitsune no Chaika. It aired maybe Hitsuki no Chaika.
Hitsuki. Okay.
Yeah, and
Whoa,
basically,
that's not it. That's not it at all. I apologize.
oh god, I linked it to you. But
Okay.
um,
It's gonna be a little bit better. Hey, that's not porn. All right, we're good.
yeah, but
Oh, jeez.
like they were trying to do something cool. Like they were trying to take fantasy elements and intertwine them with like guns. And here's a good example of it. Like anything when you said anything after guns or anything before guns is kind of out of my book. No, it's not necessarily that. Like here's an example of an anime that's based in a full fantasy setting with dragons and like a bunch of like stereotypical mobs that are like stereotypical of like most like every fantasy game in the entire world.
Yeah.
And this is an anime that used guns to use their magic, and I personally didn't like it. There's a lot of things that they did wrong, and not to stray too far off from the topic, but basically there's just a lot of the overused fantasy elements, and it overall just could have been a cool anime, but they didn't utilize the right things in the right areas.
Would you say then that it's not necessarily fantasy as a genre, but just tired, overused, for lack of a better word, because I've used it as a buzzword so many times, tropes?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's particular areas of fantasy, like plot, and I guess the characterization of the characters in that fantasy setting that I just don't like.
Okay.
So
now, to be fair, to address something that you said before on the realm of fantasy, have you watched any episodes of Shinjaku no Kyojin yet?
I've watched the first 3. I would like to say,
because as it goes on and it starts showing some of the technology that they've developed in order to combat the Titans, it gets much less like hardcore fantasy. It gets a little bit more interesting and unique on its own.
Okay.
I do like that they try not to stray into the like super medieval fantasy and serfdom and all that stuff that much. Like the politics for everything that's going on is actually pretty interesting. And I thought honestly the giants and everything was very interesting too. It was a twist that I'd argue a lot of fantasy doesn't have. It's a very unique setting.
Okay.
So I think if you hang with it a little bit, and we both need to finish it anyways, I think it might get a little bit better for you. I still don't know if you're going to like it, but I think it might get a little bit better. I do agree that it was way overhyped, though.
Yeah, like, I guess I just need to watch a little bit more of it.
Yeah,
so,
no, I like it. And it strays that fine line of, like, is it edgy or is it dark? And I think it kind of stays on the dark side, and I do like it, but man, everyone was talking about that, and then they just wouldn't talk about anything else, as if there was no other anime that came out within the next year.
Yeah.
It was a bit ridiculous.
It was pretty ridiculous. I agree on that.
What season was that?
What season was that? Did Attack on Titan? That wasn't too long ago. Maybe a year. A year. Not a year. It's been more than a year. Maybe 2 years.
Sword Art Online came out 2012. Hey, so did Yoka. And Psycho Pass. Wow, that was a good year. Kill la Kill came out at the end of 2013. So would you say
it was
sometime
around that time? It's around that time.
Did it come out before or after Kill la Kill? I can never remember because
Before.
I was watching them at the same time.
I think one season had an overlap. So
let me check
go back to fall 2013. And maybe it was summer 2013. Try that one.
This is spring 2013. Data Live. Oh, hey! Devil's a Part-Timer.
Yeah, that didn't air as long as you might have thought ago either.
Yeah. Wow, that seems like forever ago. That was reasonably enjoyable though. I did like that. It was a nice
Yeah.
twist. I like how they kind of do start in that like old school fantasy setting, and then all of a sudden just warp, and
Yeah.
he's lost all of his powers, and you have this person who in any other culture would be the big bad Satan, evil, total evil, and he's just like a poor guy that's like living in Japan. It was hilarious. I enjoyed that.
Hmm.
Even if
Yeah.
it was, oh, there it is, yeah, spring 2013. Even though it definitely ran into a lot of the typical things that you'd expect out of it, I thought it was still funny. Yeah, Shinjeki no Kyojin was spring of 2013. So, and it was like 24 episodes, 26,
Yeah.
25. So it probably
It's around there. Yeah.
it probably had a little bit of an overlap with Kill la Kill. Like its last couple of episodes aired like the first couple episodes of Kill la Kill.
Yeah. So it probably did overlap a little bit.
Yeah.
You're right.
So then I guess they only talked about it for a little while because like Kill la Kill came out and then a couple others came out that probably would have gotten people's attention.
Yeah. The funny thing is that like just coming from a community standpoint, like if you go to like Reddit or if you go to like just specifically like 4chan, or you hear people like talk about these anime, especially two cores,
Yeah.
they get tired of hearing about it after about 16 episodes, and it starts devolving into something that you is basically just complete trash. And the discussion goes away and it goes into a complete trash discussion because everyone's already formed their opinions at that point.
Right, and you can't change somebody's opinion, especially not on the internet. So it's
No.
just not worth it, dude. You want to hear some of the greats that happened in fall 2013? By the way,
Sure. Let's hear some of these great anime.
Madhouse Studios did Hajime no Ippo, the boxing one, which we've heard is good.
Right.
We haven't seen it. Kill la Kill came out that time. Kyoka no Kanata, which you said you didn't enjoy as much as other of Kyoto
I didn't
Animation's other
particularly
stuff.
like it. And this is kind of weird because I actually really do like most things with the supernatural tag, and I do want to talk about sometime the differences between the supernatural and the fantasy genre because I think a lot of people like overlap them for some reason.
It's because typically when you put them in a high fantasy setting, they add mythical and mysterious elements that you would find in supernatural.
Mhm. Yeah, and I guess
but
that's
it's not the
reason-
same thing.
Yeah, they're completely different. Yeah, I didn't really like Kyoka no Kanata. The characters are really good. The plot felt a little scattered, and the ending is a huge debate, and I personally don't agree with what they did for the ending.
It's kind of like how I feel about Erica 7 AO. Like, man, that ending. That's one that I would love to discuss at some point, but you kind of need to get through 52 episodes of Erica 7 and then 26 episodes of Erica 7 AO just to even talk about that. So,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah, that's quite a.
It's
a long
worth it.
anime.
I will say it is worth it because Erica 7 is fantastic, and Erica 7 AO still pretty good. Not quite as good though, but it still stands out. I think because the art direction was pretty solid and the plot kind of held itself together until probably the last 4 episodes. What else? Oh, fucking No Comb. No Comb came out fall
Oh my
2013. Oh,
Oh
gosh.
man, I watched No Comb while it was airing. That
Oh
was
my
absolutely awesome,
Dude.
Like, if people haven't seen No Comb, like, go and watch No Comb. Like,
Specifically
please.
the FFF copy, is that right?
yeah, that's right.
Absolutely
you
watch the FFF copy.
If you can,
If you
definitely.
can.
The horrible subs copy is still, or I guess the Crunchyroll copy, would be either one. They're the same thing.
There-
Spoilers. But yeah, like it is a phenomenally funny anime, and the frickin' like everything about it's just hilarious. Like the
It'll
setting's
be.
hilarious, the characters are goofy, and like the frickin' references are off the wall. And not even references, it's just like funny, like slapstick humor.
The slapstick
It's-
humor is so great. Like, I would say, because I love Nichijou for its amazing slapstick humor and, like, wonderful comedic timing, No Comb fucking hits it. And like, I don't know which one I would enjoy, just if you were to compare joke for joke. Just because No Comb just hits. Not only does it hit you hard, it then follows up with 26 jokes immediately after that.
Yeah, it's
it just doesn't give you a break.
You will stay on the floor.
Gosh, I was laughing so hard by the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the Crunchyroll copy, still really good, but then you watch the FFF copy where they start adding in like their own little comedy of like references to like memes and stuff like that, which you think would be detrimental to it, but it makes it so much better. And then they start adding little things where they're translating what's happening in the background, like the guy who is selling hot dogs at the park.
Oh my god.
He starts talking about how he just hates the disciples of Christ. He's like, I mean, that Jesus guy was pretty cool, but he had some shitty friends. I was like, oh gosh, and he just keeps going. And that's happening.
Was really freaking lazy. Like,
they
and he
were
just goes on.
Lazy. And that happened in the background.
There's like a really funny scene like going on in the foreground, and
yeah,
then I get the background dialogue.
It's like they just keep throwing jokes at you about ice cream and like what they're doing right there, and then that's going on in the background. And I had to rewind it so many times. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was so funny. Oh my god!
Oh,
and then I that was the same episode where they were like, "Unlimited brother works." Yeah, and then they had like the. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna spoil anymore, but you know what?
We just need to stop.
If you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it. It's awesome.
It's awesome. As far as comedy goes, that one's really good. Oh, hey, fun fact: the Madoka Magica movie, the sequel to the actual series, not the movie 1 and 2, but number 3, that one came out. Although I gotta say, my all-time favorite from fall 2013, Golden Time.
Golden Time. Oh,
Golden
man.
Time came out fall 2013.
Oh man, you know, Golden Time is one of these anime that I love.
I love and I absolutely hate it, and I love to hate it rather.
I love it. I absolutely love Golden Time. It is a great romance story about it's about basically a bunch of college students and their spooky companion.
College students and a ghost. Yeah, and they're just missing a dog that follows them around and speaks in broken English. And it's just set. It's so it would have been good. Like, I think we've said this before. The first half of the show is actually fantastic. They do a really good job of mixing like offbeat humor and weird settings sometimes, like the cult episode with like with interesting drama, and the drama seems very real. And because they're set in a college base, they're a little bit more mature, and I enjoyed that. But then the other half of the show, that maturity just goes out the window, and then there's ghosts, and then there's just weird openings to the show, and just all this other stuff. It's a train wreck after that. I was so looking forward to enjoying the show because it kept presenting interesting things. And then it just crashed and burned by the end of it. Oh, gosh. It is absolutely worth watching, though, just to see like an interesting scenario of a show that should have been good.
Yep, it really is. And sometimes I think that like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna drop all this bad anime," and you know, like if you drop anything that you don't like just is just coming from a perspective of someone that likes to review things, and obviously, and you know, just to look at the medium as a whole, like watching some things that are kind of on the border like that aren't necessarily bad. Like it's a very interesting look, and then sometimes you'll actually find something that you might like. So
yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't shit on Golden Time if I hadn't liked it in the first place.
That's true.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't joke about it so much. It's like how I joke about Sword Art Online. I wouldn't joke about it so much if there weren't things that I actually really enjoyed. Because I find myself hating things more whenever I feel like they betrayed me. It's like, you led me on with interesting plot and characters, and then you betrayed me. And I think those are the ones that I typically dislike more, because if it's a shitty show, it's a shitty show, and I'm just not going to watch it. 4 episodes in, I'm 4 to 6 episodes in. If they don't attract me, I'm just gonna drop it. I'm not gonna watch through that. But like, if it's a good show and it has good elements, but it keeps doing weird things, it's kind of like an abusive relationship. You're just like, oh, but it had good moments, and then it just starts punching you in the face and gets out the belt, and you're like, oh gosh.
What? Wait a minute.
It's a pretty harsh metaphor, but it fits for like how I feel about certain shows.
All right.
Golden Time is definitely one of those, and I do say though, Golden Time is one of those that I absolutely love because it gave us Tada Banri.
Oh.
Mr. Protag himself, the ghost of the generation, literally a ghost. Fantastic.
10 out of 10 Protag.
10 out of 10 Protag. He's amazing as a ghost. He's so great.
Yeah, he is. His ghost form is definitely something else. And it's definitely an experience that you'll never have ever again.
And I have to say, every scene that they have this wonderful happy moment, and then there's just a ghost of him, and it like just fucking, I love it because it became a meme on the internet. And they started showing like the Twin Towers with Tada Banri right next to it, and you're just like, oh, that's bad. This is so bad, but it rings true.
If you keep talking about terrorism, we're gonna get flagged eventually by like
we're
the U.S.
already
government.
Flagged.
I mean, this is the second podcast we talked about terrorism. Okay.
I'm sorry. I keep going for the terrible joke. But
yeah.
Tada Banri though, I mean, he was pretty. He exhibited terror in the people around him.
Yeah, that's definitely terrifying.
He brought about terror to all of those around him. It's an interesting show though, and I think one of the biggest things that I liked about it was actually the college setting. Because when do you see an anime that takes place in college, not middle school or high school?
Not very often from what I've seen.
Not often at all. It's either middle school, high school, or you start getting some of the other ones where it's like Cowboy Bebop and Trigun and a couple ones like that, where they're already adults.
Yeah, or going back to the fantasy setting, there's no relationship of anything like that at all. It's just
right. There's not a specific
romance.
age range. It's just like these are characters. We're not going to specify age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. You had a college setting, which meant that a lot of the stuff that they did, they went to drinking parties and they met up with a lot of different people from a lot of different towns. It wasn't just all one town or an area. Like whenever they went on summer break, they didn't see each other. And there was a lot more, and when it started out, there was a lot more maturity to the characters because they were adults. They still did goofy shit, and they were still immature at some points, and they kind of did that with the dramatic moments, but it was cool because like the way that they resolved all of those moments was mature. Instead of saying, no, I hate you, misunderstandings all over the place, they're like, wait, let's sit down and talk about this for a second.
Yeah,
I need to figure this out.
I actually really like that about the anime because I absolutely hate misunderstandings, and especially romance anime. It is so bad about them.
Oh yeah.
And I can't stand the misunderstanding thing, and it's just, and for sometimes like it even borders on cringeworthy. Yeah, like the overall, like the romantic elements of the first half of Golden Time was really good. I really liked it.
Yeah,
and the comedy was obviously the second half because you just laugh at how bad it is, and you laugh at how fun. But yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, and so once again, it had interesting elements, and the only reason why I love to make fun of it is because Tada Banri as a ghost is ridiculous as a plot device, and because it started out so well, and I feel like it betrayed me. It was
ghost again.
And then the fact that they have a line like that, I don't think we ever got over that. It's just like, well, I'm a ghost again. I'm a ghost.
I don't even care if that's the actual translation, but come on, guys, you can do better than that. I would like to point out that there are 3 separate fan subgroups that did the show, and they all did that line terribly. And
yeah.
Three of the 4 did this exact same thing as Crunchyroll did.
It was just, I'm a ghost again. It's like, it's supposed to be a dramatic moment, and he's like, well, I'm a ghost again.
Yeah, he just like suddenly like he's back. This is like the first time you see him back, and he's just like, well, I guess I'm a ghost again.
I would love to see
like,
somebody.
wow.
I would love to see the AMV Hells where they keep on doing all the funny shit. I would love to see somebody do that where like it's that scene, it has that wonderful pretty moment, and then it like starts dipping into the darker thing, and then they show him. I'd love to just see one just do Slim Shady like as the music during that part.
Oh,
Guess
wow.
who's back again.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh, that would be so great.
Yeah, that would be quite entertaining.
All right, we've talked about Golden Time way too much.
Not as long as we did Dungeon.
That's true. We talked about Dungeon for a while there. I meant to get through Ori Monogatari, and I just ran out of time. After that job interview, I was like, wow, that went really well. And then I tried to sit down and watch anime, but I'm like, oh, I have shit to do. Damn it.
Yeah, it's okay. I got through. I managed to get through almost everything. I didn't get through the last episode of Show by Rock that was out, but that's all right.
How's that going, by the way? I don't know that much about it. So other than that, it's moe, and they go to like an alternate world where there's rock.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I've gathered from the first 3 episodes. All right. So
Okay.
I took notes. So the Show by Rock is basically, it starts out in this very generic setting where the girl's like, I want to join the band, and she's like, you know, she's too nervous to go into the club room or whatever, and she doesn't end up doing it. And she goes back home. She gets sucked into this world that it's like a music game she's playing. She gets sucked into this world, which is like, by the way, there's these 3D CGI scenes that are really I don't want to use the word interesting, but they really were interesting because like it's actually really good 3D. Like I would almost label it as like something you would see straight out of a kid's show, but like
No, they had that in the PV. No,
yeah,
it wasn't. It wasn't the PV.
That's a reoccurring thing.
No, we saw that. Now I remember. We saw a video of it where they had like this band that was like these little cute animals, but they were like 3D animated, and they were really cool actually. Like I was totally on board.
Yeah, like the 3D is actually really good. And I cannot believe I'm actually saying that. But like
yeah, they're actually
like,
right
those
here on the
scenes,
side. Let me
those
click on
scenes
one of
are
those.
really cool, and they actually flow with the story really well. Like they actually are like explained in the story because like they're originally like these anime drawn characters like a normal anime would be.
Yeah.
But like when they perform these concerts, like they turn to these forms because like, and I just had this explained to me in the last episode, but basically it's because of like the way the world is created. They need like music is their power basically, and I mean yeah, that's pretty much the reason why is they turn into these things when they're performing. Is just they're trying to generate like musical power or energy. Yes.
Yeah, these are like. This is something I expect out of Blender animation. Like, whenever Blender has those contests where they get some of the best 3D artists around the world and they have a contest to see who can make the best video, this is what it reminds me of. It's usually very creative and it has interesting characters and everything can look cartoony, but it's so damn well animated and looks so pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to be honest, that's what actually one of the things that makes it stand out from a normal like slice of life moe anime is that like that CG, like plus points to whoever did that. I personally actually disagree with the 3D art style, but in this case, I actually didn't mind it, and this is like one of the few cases that I actually didn't mind it. It wasn't actually that bad, and I loved it. It was great.
I wish I could do the sound, but last time we did that, we got a copyright notice.
And yeah, the characters. I mean, the characters are tropes. I mean, it's besides that, it's a generic slice of life anime. There's those heartwarming moments where they're like, no, we got to support that person, and then they're like, okay, but there's a lot of musical elements, and the world building's really cool. And it's not set in a high school setting, and I think that was one of the things that I actually liked about it was this world was just really awesome. For a moe anime, this didn't have to do this. But
No, it didn't at all. Like, think about K-On! And how many shows are just like K-On! Where they're like, we're gonna start a band, and then they just like do music or some shit like that.
Yeah. Or they just sit in the club room all day making jokes.
Like, Good Job Book Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's really interesting. I mean, you said it's a typical slice of life moe anime, except for it has an incredibly interesting, I guess, art style to an extent because of the 3D animation, and then just world.
Yeah,
Because they get sucked into this cyberspace where music is. I now see the name of the city is Meaty City,
yeah, that's the name of the city.
like meaty technology. All right, that's clever.
Yeah,
No, that's. I mean, that's cool. That's a very interesting world. I guess I'm excited to watch it at some point. Then
yeah,
I
it's
was actually
actually
when you first talked about it, I was actually going to give it a pass because I had so many things
I
on
almost
my
passed it
plate.
up too. You know what? At the beginning of this season, I was actually not going to watch this. I was actually going to just skim over it until in IRC, one of the fan subbers I talked on TeamSpeak, he said, "Dude, you've got to watch this." He's like, "This is actually really good," and I'm like, "Really?" And of course, I sometimes don't trust the people in my IRC, but sorry to those people that may be listening, but I
Well, your
but
tastes
like,
differ from a lot of other people, so that's
yeah.
that's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, I just have, yeah, as I said, just as he said, I just have a bunch of, my tastes are very unique, as they should be. But yeah, I mean, I've watched it, and you know what? I liked it, so thank you. I say thank you to that person. Thank you.
Cool.
Because this is actually pretty good.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch out for that one. Are there any other ones between the last few seasons or our backlog that you'd either recommend or are really interested in watching?
In my backlog, like, like recently?
Yeah.
Oh, Shirobako. Has to be Shirobako.
I have to agree.
Like, Shirobako is like, if you don't like PA Works, at least watch Shirobako, because if it's not like, it's got to be PA Works' best work. Like, okay, sorry to all those Nagi no Asukara fans that love that, but Shirobako is way better. And I haven't seen Nagi no Asukara, so sorry. But I love Shirobako. It's great. And if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it, because it is definitely one of PA Works' top anime.
I have to absolutely agree with you. I mean, you just have to watch the first 5 minutes where it turns into Ridge Racer for that entire opening segment, and she's just sitting there like quietly, like, oh yeah, I really like this song on the radio, and she's going 90 down the road and like drifting around turns. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. Oh man, that could be. You were talking about AMVs earlier. That could be perfect AMV material right there.
No, somebody already did, actually. Someone beat you to it. I think in the latest AMV Hell, they did a Ridge Racer reference. But yeah, it's very clever how it's just about 4 different people choosing 4 different careers that all have to do with anime to some extent. And it's very meta about, it's an anime about making anime. And it goes through all these people's lives. I mean, you have the voice actress, the 2D artist, the 3D artist, the person that's in charge of the actual company, like all the goings on within the company. It's very cool. Yeah, there's the moment where they're fucking ridge racing. It's very cool that they have this thing that's so meta, where it's talking about all the ins and outs of the anime industry, explains how things happen, why they do it that way, and why sometimes they have trouble in getting some of these anime out. It's very cool. I like that a lot. And then on top of that, all the characters, and they have like 32. It's insane. Every single one of them is unique, and they're cool. And like, while we don't really get that much, I guess, we don't divulge into each individual character that much. Each character is given enough screen time and enough exposition that we do enjoy every single one of them. Like, they spread that over the 26 episodes really well.
Yeah. They managed to really, and like, as most people probably actually don't know, is that Shirobako was actually meant to be basically a 4-core. It was supposed to be 52 episodes. It was supposed to be this really
math in my head.
Big. What?
I had to do the math in my head. I was like, wait, what's a 4-core? Shit.
Yeah, that's okay. I did the math for you. Yeah, it was supposed to be like 52 episodes, and it was supposed to be this huge, like, thing. And I guess they just left out some of the smaller characters' introductions or like exposition, but they still managed to condense it really well. And you did see like small glimpses into their lives. Like, for example, I think it was in like episode like 4 or 5 where they show like one of the animators, he's having like a fit about something, and like they just show him like an insight into his home, and he has like a child, and like you see his wife for a second, and like
Yeah, and I like how they also showed throughout the series that anytime that they had those deadlines that he had to make, and he literally had to stay at the office for the next 3 days, it was always heartbreaking for him. It was a situation where it's like, I want to go see my family, but at the same time, I'm dedicated to my job. And you see, like, the family is just like, they don't like it either, but at the same time, the wife's like, okay, no, I'll let you.
Yeah.
I understand it's your job. I'll give you a pass. I think that's cool because there's a lot of documentaries on like video game design in that I've seen, and as well as different different things where they're on a project by project basis, and it's so heart wrenching like how much these people work, like 90 hours a week, and they get the same basic pay, but they do it because they like their projects.
They like what they're doing, and their family supports them through it.
Yeah, and that was just one character, and he wasn't even a main character.
Yeah,
and they did that for all of them.
Yeah, they did really well with that. They managed their characters spectacularly. Like, that was amazing. Like, they literally had so many characters by the end of the show, but every single one of them had at least a little bit of development. Or at least we got some insight into their backstory where you can see that maybe if there happens to be a second season, we'll maybe get some more development later.
Right.
Yeah, it's along with everything we've already said, like, it's just awesome. Amazing.
Great show.
Great show.
Well, we are actually at the hour and 6 mark. So we have the hour mark. Unless you want to go on, we could actually just cut it off here. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, I'm pretty good for now. Yeah. I'm good for now.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll meet up next week for the next episode. And then this one will come out either Thursday or Friday, whenever I decide to edit it, and put my professional touches on it. So
that font was not professional.
I'm sorry. I'm getting soft. I'll get software soon and actually
this comes
actually
from
do
someone
something.
that works with fonts. So yeah.
I'm sorry, Matt. I failed you and your fan subbing ways. All right, so I guess we'll see everybody for the next one if you decide to keep with us. So love y'all. Bye.
Bye bye.